Hey guys, how we doing? If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. It means the world to me. We are encroaching that 500. Would be absolutely superb if we can get there. Plenty of content. And as we know, we're here, Pommyinoz channel. And it's the last Pommy Ponders about Carlton Football Club for the year. It's kind of sad, it's kind of emotional. It's probably not as emotional as Kade Simpson retiring. And obviously, first off, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Kade on a wonderful career for Carlton. It's going to be really weird next year commenting on the games and not mentioning Kade Simpson. It just seems like, for me, it's just mind-boggling. I think every conversation's always had Kade Simpson in it or thereabouts. So, great career, buddy. Thanks so much for all the joy, and I'm sorry we couldn't get the job done. So, over to the game, it was kind of... It was like a microcosm, I don't know if that's a word, I've just made it up. I'm good at making words up on this show, of this season, really. It promised so much in stages, it was poor in stages, and then in the end it was just disappointment. It was just not good enough, nearly there. And I'm sick of saying nearly there, because it's... I don't know what we're waiting for. I know as a fan base we are starting to change culturally, we are expecting it. And I hear the argument, if at the start of the year would you have been happy with being in finals talk two weeks before the season ended? And yeah, you bloody oath I would have been right. But when you set targets and when you set goals, if the goal is readily achievable, which would have been finishing 12th, we've got there with relative ease. Surely, and everywhere I've worked and everyone I know who's successful in anything they do, goals are interchangeable. If the target is going to easily be met, the only way you improve is by increasing that target. So for me, 7 weeks into the season, like just don't count the break, but 7-8 weeks into the season, right in the finals mix. So the talk from the club was finals as well. And I think that's kind of interesting that at the start of the year it was being competitive, midway through the year it was finals, and then we had that speech that the finals wasn't the primary focus, it's about finishing the year strong, which they haven't done. From mid-year to that, I would admit they've been competitive in spurts. I genuinely don't think though getting dicked by 5 goals in quarters is being competitive. I don't think chasing a game is being competitive. For me, the definition of competitive is you're in the game throughout. 2 or 3 goals here and there. We've been run over in quarters. And the stats are quite damning. And I think when you look at them in clear cut, we'll go through them. We are 16th for points scored in the competition from entries. So that's entries inside 50 to resulting in a behind or a goal. We're 14th for them entries resulting in what the champs data deem as a scoring opportunity. We are 16th for scoring shots being converted into goals. We are 6th in the league for quarters won. We're above the Pies, we're above the Dogs. However, we are 13th at this stage in percentage for them quarters. We are the only club in the comp to have over 5% of any quarters of football played this year to be 0 goals. Ours is at 13. It is almost 6 times the AFL average. Quarter 1, our breakdown, we average 2 points down. Quarter 2, we average 4 points down. Quarter 3 and quarter 4, we average just a point up is our difference. And that's it. And to me, I worry when I'm seeing fans compliment Teague for giving him a spray at half-time. We're rewarding him for doing his job. His job is to win football matches. That is what every coach has been fired for in the history of sport. It is your win-loss percentage. That is what he's there for. Forget development of players and stuff. That isn't in his job role. If you break down a surgeon's job, it is saving lives. If you break down a sports head coach's job, it is to win games. That's it. No one cares about, are they happy? What have they had for tea? Are they friendly with their players? Team morale? Because all of that is encompassed with, when you win, morale is good. When you win, players are happy. When you win, players don't want to leave. Fuck, man. Like, we've seen that spray, and he might have given them sprays before, and I've got no doubt that them stats prove to me, at half time, he gives them a spray. But my concern is this. I watched that, and I watched the second quarter, and I've seen that second quarter from us a lot. We've worked hard in the first quarter to stay in the game effectively, to manage the game, our game plan is very high intense. And then a goal comes, a bad umpiring decision, and the heads drop, and we start to see it around the ground. It's crazy. My pop used to tell me, surround yourself with blokes like I did, son. Men who would die for me in the trenches. And I look at that club and the second quarters, and you can pick 8 second quarters out this year. There is players there that you wouldn't want in the trenches with you. That they are finding a way to get home. They're not like, let's go forward. They're thinking, fuck, let's go back home, man. It's too much for me. And you see it, the static movement, the slow play. That's a huge one. We allow the defence, and I think that's where our inside 50 problem comes from. Predominantly the second quarter, we pepper the inside 50s in second quarters. It is our second most inside 50 getting quarter, our second quarter. But it's slow, so we allow them to set. And it's almost like we don't know what to do. And I think, I genuinely don't blame, I blame the players 40%. I blame the tactics and the instructions they're given 60% without a shadow of a doubt. I genuinely look at this team and you see there's a switch that goes on in the mental minds. You can see the light bulb goes on, and it's, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And I can see it written in the eyes and the faces of a lot of them players. They don't want to be that guy that makes a mistake. They don't want to be that guy that they're doing the risk reward. And, you know, I went to a conference a while ago about risk reward, and they were saying that if you write down the risks and the reward of that risks, 9 times out of 10, if you write them down, you find way more positives than you do negatives. And it's about looking for them positives for you to do it, because the negatives speak louder, the positives are quiet, but genuinely they are aplenty. And I see that in the players. I genuinely do. Mark Murphy, you see it. Like, I don't know if that guy is starting to realise now that, fuck, Simo's retired. That's the benchmark for the most losses in AFL season. I'm fucking next, man. I'm fucking next. I could do this. And that worries me. That worries me, because in the third quarter, the spark was brought to us by Kade Simpson. He's a player in the last 8 weeks for me has been me on the field. He's wanted it. He's driven it. When people have failed him. And to hear him at the end of the game say he was effectively pushed just boggles the mind, because I know we love Eddie Betts and fuck, he's given some good times, but he isn't good enough. This is Daisy Thomas last year. He was playing well. We retired him, and we all have jumped on that bandwagon saying, where is he now? Same with Zimmer. Like, they're talking about he should go to Gold Coast or another club, North Melbourne. Like, that's what the pundits are saying. They're right. He's still got football in him. He's still best 22. I look at players like Jack Noons. He wouldn't get into the St Kilda side. St Kilda fans, and I've talked to them, are still glad he's not there. Because he was, I quote, an average footballer, good in spurts. And you watch him play, and that probably is true. He's no better than most people. He just does his job very well. He's definitely a 6, 7 out of 10 every week. And these are the players I keep saying that all good teams have. But he's in our top 10 players. Like, he's in our top 10 players. That's says it all. And I feel like we've allowed ourselves to be mediocre. And we don't really care. And I don't blame the players for not caring. I genuinely don't, because there's always an excuse. They're young. I mean, there's going to be an excuse now. The average age of the players, as it stands now, with Cruiser and Simo has gone down, is 22.9. It's one of the youngest in the AFL. The games have shot down as well. It's right in that average bracket. It's below average. So the excuse is now there as it stands. They're young. And if you don't have anything to strive for, you become mediocre. You do. And for me, genuinely, we just accept it. I'm already hearing next year will be better. Why? Why will it? Things don't get better. Things don't get better. Coming from a rehabilitation background and being in and out of institutions, I can tell you things don't get better unless you change it. Unless you change it, you make the change. It doesn't get better. Life isn't linear. It's like time isn't linear. Like Doctor Who said it himself about time, and he said that people assume that time is a strict progression of cause and effect, but actually from a non-linear, non-subjective point of view, it's a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. And you giggle at that, but he's right. Time isn't linear. Things don't change. Progression doesn't happen naturally without something exercising it. It has to be exercised. It has to be worked on. And I don't get it. I don't get how we can say it's going to get better, because the clear facts are that you look at Rayner, same draft as Dow. Look at his progression. They were talking a year ago that he was the worst draft pick of all time. Pretty fucking good now. Pretty good. Unanaki Davis, another one. People were saying he was a complete hack, playing decent footy. And for me, we can't just do that. Something has to happen. And I think for me, it's the messaging. It's the messaging. I see it written in the club. I see it written from the very top. We're coming. These witty little hashtags, soppy little media, 30-second clips of Patrick Cripps turning in slow-mo with a sippier tone and sweating. Not about winning. It's about looking good, being family friendly, and, selling tickets, man. Selling tickets. I mean, do you remember the forum? The fans forum? There was very little questions to the board about what's the aim this year? What's the wins? What's the wins? What's the win column going to look like? When's the next flag? But I went back through that forum. There was 62 messages. This was the highest percentage, second only to why did you stab sauce in the back, was where's our pin badges? And then you go on the forums and people who disagree with winning should be an aim begin their sentence all the time with, I've been a member for X years. Now, bearing in mind I've just said that time isn't linear. It's not relevant. If you're 60 years old, you should be a member for 40 years. That's nothing to be proud of. That's just age. It's age. So if you support something, you should support that from the day you start, and you should support it with all your heart and intensity for the rest of your life. That's how support works. Whether you're critical or whether you're happy with the club, you support them. That's the beautiful thing. I'm married, and you ask my wife, I do her fucking head in. But she supports me through that, because that's what your club is. It's your wife, it's your husband, it's your partner, it's your brother. You love them through thick and thin, and you complain about them because you want better. You want them to be better. It's not hatred, it's not animosity, but this needs to stop. I've been a member for 60 years, no one gives a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. And I'm going to be the voice of the people. People don't care. What it does is it segregates those that do care. The other night I went on the Blue Abroad show and I was seeing people saying, get these teenagers off, they know fuck all. They've got more heart and passion than most of the players that are getting paid 6 figures a year to play this game. It needs to stop. Because I'm telling you, and I'm not often wrong. I'm going to big myself up. Trade rumours I usually am wrong about, but I'm not often wrong with the way life works. And if we accept this mediocrity, we're in a shitstorm, man. When you're talking that there was 5 players on our books that had above and equal to or above their average and their expected output, And that was Matty Kennedy, TDK, Sam Walsh, Ed Kerner and Kade Simpson. We've got issues at this football club. 5 people when the game's on the line and we're in a winning position against a top 8 side. Not just a top 8 side, the minor premiers. Means nothing. But they're a good side. Well-oiled machine. And you saw the difference. They kicked atrociously as well. Like, that's what no one's talking about. That is as rare as rocking horse poo, Carlton being so accurate in front of goal. They were going at less than 50% for accuracy, and they won with ease. They destroyed us in that second. You can't defend it anymore. It's all right saying, oh, they came back into it, but their job is to come back into it. They should be putting the effort in. They should correct mistakes. That's what you do in life. You make a mistake, you fix it. You prang a car in the car park, I'm sure you offer to fix it because you're good people. It's what people do. The questions I've got around selection, on an anticipated greasy day going that tall, we looked tall and lethargic. We couldn't keep up with our outside run and their pace. We didn't even play to our strengths because the entries were piss for most of the night. You've got Matty Kennedy leading the way, and he's played less game time than every player in the Carlton list. 68% he was on the ground, and he's got more numbers. He's got equal the highest clearances, and he only played 17% more than Cripps. Why wasn't he on the ground more? Sam Walsh, who is the leading possession getter, played 15% more than him, and Kennedy was playing well and didn't get the game time. And that's mind-boggling to me. That's mind-boggling to me. Like, absolutely baffling. The messaging around selection blags my head, and I think that's part of the problem, because I think some players don't even know if they're coming or going. Like Cam Paulson. Why is he there and Matt Cottrell's not? Like Matt Cottrell, Teague said, round 10, I want players to own moments, and if they do, they'll be rewarded. Because owning moments wins football matches. Matt Cottrell probably had arguably the biggest moment this year to own. He took that mark against Sydney and kicked it. And his thank you was being rested. And Dross brought in. I love Cam Paulson. I'm not going to be harsh to him, because if you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And I can't have a go at him for not being good enough at AFL level. Thousands aren't. But he's not. He's not good enough to play AFL football. Do you know what I mean? 2 turnovers resulting in direct goals, 6 touches, off the half-back flank, the easiest position probably in AFL football. And he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. And Mitch McGovern's another one. It's all right people saying, oh, he went down the back. He was dire down the back. It's dire at the front, it's dire at the back. You're paying 700k nearly for him. Like, it doesn't matter. We don't need another tall down the back. We don't. Already, it's too tall. Because you've also got Marchbank there as well, so he's going to be a third tall. Plowman's tall. It's already borderline too tall without adding a fourth, man. And who's he going to replace? You're telling me that McGovern could do the job that he did on Cameron, that Plowman did on Cameron? Behave. He needs to attack the ball. We did it once and he looked pretty good when he attacked the ball, but genuinely, his field kicking is horrendous. His positional sense is horrendous. It's bad, man. He's, for me, he doesn't play. And if the rumours are true, which I doubt he's on a 3-year deal, then we don't know about it, seeing that Champ Starter, AFL.com, and all the media outlets say he's out of contract this year. I don't know where that's come from. And if it is, the club has to explain it, because why do official documentation, which they have to release as part of the AFL Charter, they have to release the contract terms? Why? Why? I don't get it. I mean, over to the game. Let's dissect the game. I mean, it was just piss poor in the second. Kade was brilliant throughout. The effort and intensity, yeah, it was there in the third and fourth, but why wasn't it there from the start to the finish? It was a big game for them. Finished the year on a high. And you just left you kind of wanting more, kind of not. I mean, for me, I'm not going to go through all the players because I just don't see the point. We know who's good and who's not. But for me, SPS, again, went into the midfield, played really well. 17 touches, 5 marks, 3 tackles. He's got some chutzpah about him. I like it. I'm a big fan. Sam Walsh again, looking like our best player now. Cunners had his moments again late when the game's lost. That's my worry about Cunners. He does it when the game's not there. We need him to do it when the game's there to be won. Marty Kennedy's phenomenal. How he doesn't start, I don't get it. He offers so much. He's a big force. He's a big body. He uses it well. He gets the clearance. He looks willing to die for a blade of grass, which a lot of these blokes don't. What has Kennedy done? Like, Kennedy, whatever Poulsen does to get games, he needs to tell Kennedy. Definitely. Like, maybe Kennedy, if he says that he used to play for Adelaide, he might get games, because it feels like that's what happens at the moment at this club, and that worries me. There was a big rumour at the moment, Matt Crouch, Rory Atkin, again, Adelaide players. I don't like it. It's a losing, festering culture. The less Adelaide players we have on a list, when I think there is question marks around our moral integrity around the club, for me is a good thing, and it's something I would be avoiding. Ed Curnow, again, as always, ever reliable. And let's give a huge shout out to Kade Simpson. Phenomenal, mate. Like, why you're going, I don't know, bro. If I had my way, you'd be staying. You'd be staying. End of. We need 2-3 over 30s on this list. You'd stay because you've earned it. And I think there's more leg running room in them legs. And then the villains of the game. Like, to me, I'm never critical very often of him, but I've got to criticise Cripps here. I have to. Like, it was obvious he wasn't right from the bounce. There was a scene at the bounce when he's there, and he was twinging. Like, I respect he had to play, right? And I'd imagine a captain would want to see off Kade, but is it worth the risk? We have to be selfish at times, and someone needs to pull it into line, because that was a waste of a position, man. Waste of a position. He should have been rested last week. He looked weak. And this week, he just put us in a hole. Put us in a huge hole. And for me, fair play for wanting to play. But for me also, you can't reward someone that's jeopardised A, their career, and B, our position. Because we were one down. And it's a big one down in the fourth quarter, is Patrick Cripps. I don't like it. For me, Eddie Betts, he had that wonderful kick to Gibbons, which, let's be honest though, under that much pressure, anyone who's paid to do the job should do it. I don't see why you're staying on. I really don't. If someone can explain it to me, that's great. I hear he might bring Zach Williams into the club because of his Indigenous background. He may be a role model for the Indigenous people. But Adam Goods is a role model to the Indigenous people. He's not on an AFL list, is he? So why can't we have him in that kind of role as a coach, as a development officer or something? Like, for me, it's not a specialised position anymore, small forwards. Small forwards, about 4 of them come through the draft every year and kill it in year 1. Do you know what I mean? It's the position, it's the nature of the beast. Simpson said it this weekend about the West Coast. He's had the luxury of having 2 quality keys, which allow him to plough game time into his young smalls, and that's why they're bearing the fruits of the labour. We've got 2 quality toes. We anticipate we'll have 3 quality toes next year. Why can't you run Honey? Why can't you roll Jack Martin? Why can't you just roll with these players and back them in? It makes more sense to me than a year. And I know there's the sentiment, but if that is part of it at all at this club, we've got a huge issue of he deserves to retire in front of a crowd. Because Kade Simpson deserves to retire in front of 100,000 people at the MCG. Like, he's top of the queue of players. There's no one near him. It's him, and then there's just a gap. And then maybe we'll talk about Eddie Betts. For me, it's a horrific decision, and if it was clearing out the list of old people, Eddie Betts should be there with him as well. Because let's be honest, he's had some good games, but I think he'd say it himself. He's slowing down, and he's got to. It's law of averages. For me, where do we go from here? It's going to be an interesting trade period. I think that we're going to have to. I don't think Zach Williams is the be all and end all. He's a very good get. Should we get him? I think we lack a little bit of quality all around the ground, really. I'd like to see us go after definitely a small forward in this. I think we need someone who is a genuine small with a little bit of pace and a bit of X factor. And I think, for me, I don't buy into this inside midfield. I think Kennedy's it. Kennedy and Setters are them inside big body helps for Cripps. They're very good at what they do. unless you're offering me someone elite, I don't see anyone gettable that's not going to cost the earth. And for me, Ollie Wines isn't the answer. Like, just because he's got a bit of blue blood in him, he's not the answer. He's what we've got. We've got a lot of slow, big-bodied players. Like, fuck me, he's not worth the price it'll cost when he's in that much contract. For me, definitely as well. I think we also need to look at a key defender as backup for Jones. Jones was remarkable this week, and Waitering, but these players have a habit of getting injured at some point in the career. Look at Harris Andrews. So for me, I'd like a quality key defender down the back as well as a replacement. I think we're probably 4 or 5 players short. I think players like Jack Graham, Lockie Hunter, these players come into it for me. We'll go in depth. But where do you guys think we stand? Do you think I'm just upset? Do you agree with me? Do you think that we should be a bit disappointed? Because my argument is, and I'll leave you with this, is 6 weeks ago, we were on the verge of finals. If we'd done our jobs against GWS and Collingwood, we would be way within inside the 8 now, and we'd be talking about a dream elimination final. So for me, goals have to be fluid. They can't be set in stone. Do you know what I mean? What's the old saying? Write them in sand or something? I don't know. I'm not very good with quotes. That's my thoughts on it. I'm a little bit dejected. I'm sure I'll get pumped up though because trade season's here. Thank you so much for the love and support. It means a lot. Some interesting stats in this video. I'll see you next time. Pom out.